He can usurp the office. I mean, the list goes. You know, the North American Law Center has brought 48 charges against him of violations of federal law, like mispersonation, which is a felony that can land him in prison for 18 years. No charges. Nobody sees anything. But as soon as somebody stands up and says, "Hey, I was maintaining my property against a BLM burn that was where they were trying to burn my house down," well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go to prison for 5 years. And, you know, so when you see that kind of, you know, this is what you call selective enforcement. And selective enforcement is malfeasance, misfeasance, nonfeasance. And so, you know, the fact that as it goes on, you see one set of law, you see the same law applied strictly in strict construction against the citizen and completely ignored against the person holding the authority. And that's what the difficulty is here.
And, you know, the other thing I wanted to bring in, Kathy Rubio had some good intel I wanted to share with you, Victoria and Ghost, because it'll help splice and supplement what you know already and give you new material perhaps you don't. So, Kathy, I'd love it for you to give us your briefing on Mr. Fry and what are the current operations that are going on up there that you've reported that Ghost and Victoria
first of all, I started talking with David Fry this afternoon. First I talked to his friend, and then his friend called me back and he put us on a three-way conversation. And I could clearly hear in voices, I talked to them all, that they are scared. Their time is very limited now. And while I was talking to them, I got a message from Watchman News that they are ramping things up in Burns. The FBI has taken over the second floor of the hospital again. They are bringing in more equipment. They are bringing in more MRAPs. They're bringing in more military. They're gearing up. And when they did this last time, it took them 2 days before this, with that blockade. So I'm thinking we might want a lot of militia out there by Friday during the funeral. I'm thinking they're going to hit then. The other thing is, when talking to David, they were so scared that I spent most of the conversation, and you have that conversation there. You can play it whenever you want. I spent most of the conversation praying with them to calm them down because they needed to hear from someone that knew Jesus and that could speak to them. And they were very grateful for that motherly care, I would say that was. And we did lay down some heavy prayer. Michael, you would be proud. And so I believe that God is in control. I believe that God has used these kids mightily. He's used Victoria. I believe that he used Lavoie. And God has used this whole situation to wake this nation up. And so for that, I'm grateful to all of you that you could stand the test. And Victoria, I know you're standing strong. He told me today, David Fry did, that please come and get him out. And soon, he said, he knows he doesn't have time. He had told me before we started the conversation that the FBI had told him if he made one more phone call after the interview the other night, they would cut his communications off. That was done while we were talking. So he no longer will be allowed to communicate with anybody else.
Well, hold on. Let's get a jump in on there, because if he is not being charged with something, if he is not being suspected of a crime, then they've just suddenly interfered with his constitutional rights. They've just suddenly violated his rights.
Is that a surprise, Scott?
Yeah, well, it's illegal, and that's the only thing that matters. And that's the important thing to begin to do, is to construct a timeline and a listing of violations and incidents of criminal activity, criminal actions against these people that aren't suspected of a crime. And also, we need to document, as I've said before, if there are FBI agents or mercenaries or contractors who are dressing up as militia or just trying to pretend they're civilians and taunting or antagonizing or abusing or in any way suffering the people of Harney County to be under the false impression that these men are militia members, are protesters, or part of the Oregon group that are at the wildlife preserve, then that needs to be documented. As far as I know, the fire chief resigned when he approached Judge Grasty and said there's some funny business going on, people pretending they're militia. And Judge Grasty demonstrated that he told the fire chief to stand down, and the fire chief resigned. So we need to keep a documented record of everything that's done against these people, and that's a prime example. Now, Mr. Bundy's father, and Ghost, perhaps you can jump in on this. Mr. Bundy's father has said and filed a letter and did it on a registered mailing that they were not going to abandon the facility. They are occupying it. They are there. It doesn't sound like they are occupying it with guns drawn, looking to shoot with defensive force. They're just occupying the facility like anybody would at a big picnic for the 4th of July. They're there. And Mr. Bundy is saying, we're not leaving. Now, Ghost, can you come in and corroborate any of that, or what's going on that Kathy's just said that you want to chime in on?
I would like to chime in. I just spoke to Carol Bundy yesterday, and I asked her about this. And Kathy, I really appreciate what you just said, that you spoke to them. I've been trying to find a way to get a hold of them, and I now understand that if they spoke one more time, they would have their communications cut off. As Scott said, we need to document. But I think not only do we need to document what is going on, but we need to do something. This is life that is weighing in the balance. These people may lose their lives if the FBI goes in there. The way Boyd lost his life. He was not showing aggression, and he lost his life. And I think we need to do something.
Well, the whole conversation was posted all over the net in a short amount of time as soon as I get off this show. And once that's posted, the militia should pick up easily on what's going on here. And I especially would want to say to the militia in Texas that said the other night to David that they had 2,500 ready to go, because we need to get them out. And obviously they're gearing up for something. If Ghost is saying that they closed down the FBI in Redding, California, they are gearing up, and they know that the people are going to rise up over this.
Well, here's a thought for operational purposes, Ghost. Besides militia, okay, this is not an armed militia movement at all. This is a patriotic American citizen movement, and Americans need to go up without guns, with flowers, if you will, to put in the gun, but they need to go up and align themselves and go up there as human shields, if you will,
yeah,
to serve as, no, you're not going to just slaughter these people like Waco. We need old people, young people, civilians to go up and say, no, you will not kill these people, and be the shields for them. Hold on, it's not militia. So yes, militia are very important. Veterans are very important. Former military are very important. They've got the training, they've got the testosterone, they've got the willpower to be former military men. Once you swore an oath, you've always got that oath, and you are always upholding and defending this country. So militiamen, yes, they need to get up there. Civilians need to get up there. And here's the key.
See, I'm under the impression that the people are the militia.
Hold on, Kathy. Let me finish.
All right.
The fact is this. These people need to go up to a different refuge in Grant County that the sheriff is on their side and say, get out of that Harney County and come up here to Grant County. I will go up and make sure no federal forces are up here, and we're going to occupy the area and let these people, like the British who left that fort in the scene Last of the Mohicans,